IBD, and then you have ulcerative colitis. There's a lot more, but that was my journey. So 2000, I got diagnosed with that chronic illness, and it was severe because we didn't know what it was. I've never been a larger person in stature, so in about 2 weeks, I lost 20 pounds. Yes, so imagine what that looks like. But prior to getting there, you know, it was a journey. My husband can tell you we couldn't go anywhere because I didn't know what to eat. It was just so debilitating. But I eventually got hospitalized because it was so bad. It was so bad. I remember I was sitting in the hospital. I was doing the whole why, like how did this happen? You know, because I was even in the military. I was an athlete there. We have to do physical training every day. But I took a lot of pride in that because that's my strong suit. I can do that. So imagine that taking away, you know, that one thing that I could actually do. But while I was in the hospital, you know, I'm going through my head as to I couldn't understand, you know, what it was. I'm running through my head. I'm fairly healthy. I eat fairly healthy. And I'm saying fairly on purpose because a lot of times the foods that we think are healthy, they're not, right? The way they label the products, it's a gimmick to bring you into, because they tell you, oh yeah, 20 grams of protein, but that's in addition to the cow's milk or the milk that you have to add to it, you know, that has other additives. That's in addition to the sugar that's hidden on the label that most of us are not conscious about. And I learned all of this. Initially, I learned it on my own, right? Because I refused to stay on the medication. I walked out of that hospital with a brown paper bag. I should have brought the visual for you of medication that I needed to take. And he said for the rest of my life. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen because I barely want to take headache medicine, so I don't know how this is going to work. But really, it was a challenge for us, you know, trying to figure out how to eat, what to eat. And then I'm still going through the process of dealing with the illness because I still can't go out as the way I want to. Every 5 minutes, I'm having to go. It's not so much that you have to go, it's just an urge to go, but you can't chance it, right? So this is how my life literally changed with food, right? So it was at this point that I said, you know what, I'm going to find a way to heal my body in a natural way, in a way that's comfortable for me, because, you know, and it's nothing against medicine, because I actually took the medication until I figured out that process. Because the medication was working, right? I needed the drug. So until I could figure out how to actually, what foods really made my body happy, I kept taking the medication. So, and it was really, I was doing experiment on myself, right? It literally was, you just trial and error, because I still don't know. So you remember I said I was Jamaican, right? So we like spicy foods.
Yes.
And that is a no-no. Right? So that was the first drama for me. I'm like, what? You know? I can't eat my spice. So I had to cut out the spice. Then it was kind of tricky because sometimes the foods that would pass one day would not pass the next time, right? So I'm doing this it was a really trying time, only because I'm taking the steps to do this on my own, because they're not going to recommend most of the time. Some doctors now will recommend the natural way, but everybody's not receptive to that. But when I talk to clients, I don't impose one way or another. I usually tell them whatever works for you, what's best for you. That's the way, because that's what you'll stick with, right? If I tell you to go eat natural foods and that's not your thing, you're not going to continue with it, right? So for me, just trying to figure out the foods. So what I did, like I said, I did the research, went through the trial and error, and literally changed my diet that way. So at this point, it's hard to do physical activity, right? Because I'm in pain most of the time, and even on the days I feel good, I'm weak, I'm fatigued, I'm just going through a whole lot of other things. But this is where I really took a very a different approach to wellness, because when you look at me, I look like a clean bill of health. You know, a lot of people always assume that just because I look fit, I'm fit. I may be fit on the outside physically, but my whole body on the inside is a whole different story. Now, thankfully, I wasn't as well. I was moderately to severe, diagnosed as moderately to severe, which is why I got hospitalized. But I will tell you this: I have met other people with the condition that they're taking so much medication. But I also feel like, it's a safe space to know that you have the medication to run to. But also, it's a mindset thing, right? It really, and everything boils down to your mindset. It really does. Everything boils down to your mindset. If you tell yourself you can't, you will not. If you tell yourself you can, you will. So I was determined, because that's really part of my DNA, persistence. I was determined that I was not going to continue to, I didn't want to take medicines for the rest of my life. Now, how I deal with my condition, thankfully I'm in remission. I think the only other time I had a flare was 2020 when we were moving here from Virginia. And it's, stress exacerbates that condition too. Physical, emotional, mental stress will really get your condition angry. So 2008 was the last flare that I had. It was in Korea on a mission. So mad.
No stress there, right?
Yeah,
no
I know,
stress.
right? I was in the middle of, I think we're going closer to North Korea, and I was literally stressing about this. I had a flare in the field, in the woods. Not a great place, right? That was the last flare I had up until 2020. So my stretches were pretty good, because now I know how to manage it. I can actually tell you when I'm about to have a flare, and or my body. I know how my body's reacting. I'm like, nope, I don't like this. We're not gonna do this today. So now I'm to the point where I can literally respond to the what my body's telling me. And that's the other thing. We don't take the opportunity to listen to what our body is saying. Our body talks to us all the time. But like a lot of professionals, like healthcare professionals, we tend to, because we work in that field, we're like, oh, I'll go back, no, I'll just doctor it up and it'll be okay. No, if it's too much, or if your body's saying something, maybe you adjust what you're doing. If the condition persists, then you go get it checked out. It's nothing wrong. Doctors are there for a reason. We know our bodies a lot better, and sometimes we don't communicate what we're feeling, what it is, or we don't challenge them. Yes, they're qualified, but that's still your body. That's still your body, So we have to let them know. We have to communicate. Look, I know what you said, but this is not. This doesn't feel right, And I've done that several times, because there's some doctors, they don't understand what colitis is, right? Even though it's fairly common, but there's still, some people that don't understand, because it's just a tricky condition. It could be any one of them, actually, But that led me to the health and wellness space. So when I retired from the military, I wanted to be a personal trainer, right? That guy, that's my husband. Hey, husband. When I got home, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. He was like, you're a fitness person. Why don't you do that? I was like, oh, yeah, I can do that. But my whole goal is because I really wanted to help women with their bodies, because we struggle the most with, body image. And it's not just younger women. It's especially when we get to the midlife, it's really a crisis, because it's a whole lot of stuff going on, and we can't figure it out. So when I got out, I opened up a boutique fitness studio in Williamsburg, Virginia. And it was really successful. I had male and female clients. clients. But as right before the pandemic or going up to the pandemic, I realized that there was a much bigger need to understanding. It was so right now I talk about fitness from the whole person's perspective, right? Mental, emotional, spiritual. And spiritual doesn't mean that you have to go to church. It means that you have something that you're connecting to, like she just did the meditation. That's a spiritual thing, You getting in tune with your body, understanding, listening, learning to be still, to be quiet. And when that's personal training was the doorway for me to go into coaching, because honestly, after my training sessions, I was sitting down coaching women. I was like, Mom, I kind of like this thing. I really enjoyed, pouring in and just kind of helping them get through the challenges that they face. And I wasn't even, I didn't even know as much as I knew now, but I knew enough to lead them into a better direction. And I realized I enjoyed it. I enjoyed wins. I enjoy when they see that, oh my gosh, I didn't think I could do this. Women losing weight. That one lady, she lost 82 pounds. Between her and her husband, they may have lost 198 pounds, right? And that's because all her life she had been heavy, and she was told that's just her makeup. But she was so committed to the process, and it took her a while to come to me. Her husband was coming to me, and he kept saying, "You gotta come, you gotta." I said, "Nope, you do not call my name." I said, "You talk about how you feel, what it's doing for you, but you don't say you need to go to Renea. You don't tell us what to do." No, you tell me, you look good. Let me tell you, you look good. And let me think about, maybe I should go. You don't tell us what to do. So I said, "No, Brad, don't do that." And so he stopped. So he would come back to the gym. I got up this morning, I made my smoothie. So we're planning on her. She eventually came in after 2 months, and she said it was only because of how her husband's energy increased and all that. But with her, it was a different journey, right? She had a lot more internal issues, a lot more so, and that's what we do. We internalize. We're fearful. We worry about who's gonna judge us, how we look to everybody. It's a whole thing. Like, sometimes the men don't get it, but we're having a whole conversation before we even, get to talking sometimes. So that's one of the reasons I went into health coaching. So 2020, we moved here from Virginia. And that during the pandemic, that was the best time for me to kind of figure out, okay, where do I want to go with this, and how do I want to lead into wellness, And that's how I got here. I know that I took the long road, that was okay. Okay. So this morning in your booklets, everyone has a booklet. I have this card right here, right? So we're gonna go through this card in a little bit, but before. I want to talk about I'm gonna just give 4 tips or tricks, and we can go back and forth with this because I like dialogue. So I know oftentimes you hear when they say, if you're gonna start anything, you want to set attainable and achievable goals. Do you guys understand, or do you understand what that means, or what attainable and achievable goal would look like for you?
Like just getting up and doing certain things setting certain things that you're gonna do for that day. Yeah. Is that what you mean? So say you say I want to lose 50 pounds, right? But 50 pounds is losing 50 pounds is broad. Right. Okay, so now we're going to go into the how, and that's where you come in, right? Where what you said comes in. So what is it going to take for me to get to the 50-pound weight loss, to lose the weight? And attainable goals, and this is going to go into the second one, because you want to set small goals, right? Because you don't want to set a grand goal where I want to lose 50 pounds in 2 months. That's not attainable, and it's not achievable. Because along the way, there's going to be bumps, hills and valleys, and it's going to set you back more than it's going to propel you forward. So the achievable and attainable goals, you want to say, okay,
what I'm gonna do every morning when I get up, I'm gonna set out my clothes to go to the gym, right? Because if you're like me, I can't do anything the morning of because I'll be spinning and spinning and spinning and I'll never get to it. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sleep, right? So I set my clothes out from the night before, whatever I have to do. My husband can tell you, everything's out from the night before because if I have to do it in the morning, I'm just going to be late. It's just, I know me, right? So that's part of setting an attainable goal. You know, the things that's going to make it easy for you to get up and do what you need to do to get to your end goal, right? So setting out your clothes, setting out your water bottle, maybe you make the first meal, like you say, okay, you know what, I plan to eat oatmeal, or I'm gonna get a shake, or whatever. So you set that. Now, smaller goals, you want to set smaller goals, and I'm a big proponent about celebrating wins. Because we do not celebrate ourselves. I don't care if you walk 5 seconds and you've never walked 5 seconds before. I did that, you know, babe. I walked to the door, right? Celebrate it because you know what that does? It starts the happy juices for it, and you want to do more after you. Well, I walk to the door. I can walk to the next door, and I can walk to the end of the parking lot. You know, so you want to set small, achievable goals and celebrate that. You know, don't take anything for granted. That's another thing that I've learned. Not to take anything for granted because I took for granted that I was healthy. I took for granted that I was fit, right? And it took something to knock me off of that to realize I cannot take anything for granted. Right? So we're gonna set small goals, and the small goals is like I said, you know, maybe you go to bed early, maybe you put your phone down in a good amount of time so that you can get 8 hours of sleep. Maybe another goal is I want to get 8 hours of sleep, right? You don't have to jump into that 8 hours. Maybe tonight I'm gonna do, you know what? I'm gonna get 7.5. Half hour early, I'm gonna put everything up. And then you keep building up on that. Nothing has to be immediate, right? Because a lot of times we get into the position that we're in and it didn't happen overnight, right? It's been going on. It's just gotten to a point where it's like, okay, it's coming out in the open, you know, for you to recognize it, right? So everything, small steps, it doesn't have to be right now. And I tell you this because I'm that right now person. Seriously, I'm the right now person. I want it right now, right? So, and you know, and along the way, you learn a lot about, you know, just understanding, okay, I know now to sit still, to take a breath, to take a pause. I'm not a pauser. I wasn't, I should say, but I'm doing things a lot differently than the way I used to. I'm a lot calmer, you know, I speak lower, you know, I don't get as upset. And all of that plays a part in your overall well-being. It affects your body in so many ways than you can really imagine. You know, we only see the outward effect of it, but the insides of your body is working hard. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing when you really get to see how much the body does just to keep you upright. You know, it's an amazing thing. All right, so we went over the small steps. So third, find an enjoyable form of activity, right? You don't have to go to the gym to maintain your wellness. It's one form if you enjoy doing that. And I find that a lot of women, they're not really particularly trying to go to the gym, right? But there's other activities that we enjoy doing. Do you know even just playing with your baby? That's an activity. You can make that an activity. 30 minutes, I'm gonna play with the baby, and you like those kids, they will run you into the okay. So that's a whole marathon you're talking about right there, okay? So you make that into an activity. So you find little things that you like to do. If you like to dance, you make that an activity for yourself. You like to walk, if you like to jog, if you like to swim, whatever it is, but make it something that you will stick to, that you will commit to. It doesn't have to be, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna lift all that. No, I'm not against the gym, right? Because if that's what you like, then you do that as well, right? But I find a lot of times we think, because it's also what's publicized, right? Go to the gym, lose weight, but there's so many other things that you can do. So many other things that you do. So don't be intimidated by that. And then practice mindful self-care. And that is, for me, is a big thing, because that's really what changed my life. Just being mindful, just understanding how the external stimuli or external influences affect me as a person on the whole, right? Because I can be fit, but I'm still unhealthy mentally, emotionally, and mindful self-care is doing stuff like, I took up yoga. Oh my God. Yoga is not easy, y'all. Especially for somebody who is tight. No. And you know what? I'll tell you a humbling experience of my yoga. I was so embarrassed because everyone's looking at me, because I literally, like, my muscles are there. You can't miss them. And I walked in, so everybody think, oh yeah, she's gonna be good. No. And I was sitting there trying just not to let my ego take over. I was like, relax, Renee, you go at your own pace. I'm doing my own coaching, right? I'm telling myself, you start where you're at, okay? I literally could not do anything. Bend over, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm tight. But yoga is, I love it. I love it. I'm an advocate for it. And it even, there's so many things they can do with that. And I'm not like promoting you. I'm just telling you my experiences, because it blew my mind that I could not do yoga, right? But yes, so that's one way. And start where you're at. It's honestly starting where you're at. You don't have to start where I'm at. I'm an athlete, so we come in thinking we can do everything, right? And ego just always gets, but you gotta be humble enough to be like, you know what? I got it. You're the expert. I'm gonna get back here and learn. I'll learn today. That's what we have to do, because we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, right? But mindful meditation, journaling is another outlet. It's if you feel like you cannot talk to anyone, that's one way to start releasing a lot of things. And I started doing that at a young age. I wasn't consistent with it because I thought there was a method to it, but it really isn't. It's, whenever you can jot down whatever, you don't have to write in the journal every night, right? It's okay, I have something on my mind, or I want to get this off you journal then. It's not every night I gotta put something in here, because that's another stress, because sometimes you don't have nothing to write. I was like, I don't know what to write tonight. And I was like, do I have to do? And then I went to another event, and they're like, no, whenever you feel called to write, then you write, right? But it's also another outlet. Going to different events to learn about what you can do to take care of your wealth and your health and well-being. It's really, like I said, I prefer to work from the whole body perspective, because it's more than just one thing. It's all connected, right? It's mind, body, soul, spirit. It really is connected. You cannot do one without the other. You cannot heal your body without the right mindset, right? So on the card, we'll go to the card. And I have 14 tips on here, but we don't have to go through all of them. One of the biggest ones I put at the top is to express gratitude each day. That in itself is a big mental shift. And if you try it when you're at your lowest, you will see how your mood immediately changes, honestly. So I'm a big proponent. Tony Robbins talks about gratitude, and Yana Van Sant, Oprah, Michelle Obama, all those people, they express gratitude. So when we think that the big stars, their routines, it will amaze you at the simple things that they're doing to elevate themselves, right? We think that they're spending a lot of money. No, they're doing what we're not, committed to. But it takes practice, and they'll tell you it takes practice. So express gratitude each day, especially when you feel low. That's the time, because you want to build that happy juice. I know it sounds weird, right? Yeah, but there's always something to be grateful for. It's the fact that you can be mad. It's grateful. You can. Oh, thank you, Lord. You woke me up so I can be mad about this. meditation, there's a whole nother thing on meditation. So when I first started trying to meditate, it was just not going right. I closed my eyes, my brain was just busy while I'm trying to sit still. So I listened to Joe Dispenza. And you know, it's like everything else. Let the mind do what it wants to do. Because if you try to pull it back, you're just going to be fighting. Because that's what I did. I really didn't understand how to meditate, and just allowing your body to do, because eventually it'll stop running. It'll stop trying to figure out what's going on today, who's behind me. It'll stop trying to do all of that, right? So meditation and all of these things is small steps. You know, if you're gonna try to do any of these, do it in small increments. Don't jump into anything, because oftentimes we don't, you know, fully commit to it because it gets overwhelming, right? Mm-hmm. And so the other one is take baby steps. We talked about that. Pause. This for me was a big thing. I would literally be walking at like 100 miles an hour. And when I started recognizing, I was like, where are you going right now? Where do you have to be right now that you're going so fast? And I'm just a fast walker, but sometimes we're in a rush for no reason. What do we need to get to right now? What do you need to get to that you have to go this fast, that you can't slow down? And it's not just with walking. You know, you find yourself, you get up, you're rushing in the morning. Take 3 breaths and then just regroup and figure out, okay, what do I need to get done next, right? We take simple steps. Take a moment to pause. If you're in a heated argument, stop, take a moment, pause, and then continue. Sometimes walking away and then coming back is a better solution than to continue in that heightened state. Okay? And I love this phrase. So when I first started coaching, my coach, he was Chris Goodman. I was sitting there just piling it on him. I can't see my life going anywhere because it's not working. So he just stopped. He said, have you ever thought that you were right where you're supposed to be? I was like, I just told you my life is falling apart. What are you saying, right? But I didn't think about, that's a huge statement. And it made so much sense to me, because just because it's falling apart now doesn't mean that it's gonna keep falling apart. And the thing is, you need to deal with something at this moment that before you deal with it, you're not gonna get to it, right? You gotta solve what's in front of you right now. So at any given moment, in any situation, you're right where you're supposed to be. And y'all are here with me. Okay, hydrate. We take this for granted, right? Mm-hmm. We literally do. So here's my challenge to you. Even if you don't drink water right now, just set 1 bottle out and try to get through that 1 bottle for the day, right? You'll be amazed. The way I trick myself, which now all I drink is water, but before I had a 20-ounce cup when I'm taking my daughter to school. Before I get to school, for some reason I like sipping out of the coffee cup. It was a tumbler, but I liked it, and I think it's because I like coffee, so I'm doing this all the time. So I use the tumbler for my water. I'll be done with the water, and on my way back, I'm like, man, I'm thirsty. So find a way to trick yourself into doing the things you need to do, because it's all a mind game. Really, it is. It's a way to trick your body into doing, trick yourself into doing what you need to do for your body. So water is it's the best medicine. We're made up of water primarily, and it heals. It really does, but we don't drink enough of it, right? When I was growing up, I remember every time we got sick, my grandmother would be like, "Oh, give her some water." And like, you're dying. I don't want any water. I don't feel good. But it was always the go-to. Get some water. And it makes sense. The more and more you learn about it, you're like, okay, I understand. We gotta replenish. We're right now, I'm releasing water, but we don't see it because it's not coming out in droves. But we gotta always refuel and replenish. Take breaks. This is another thing. My husband can tell you, I'm a workaholic. I can work through the day. I won't eat. I won't do anything. But you know what I do? I set my alarm. I set my alarm for every 2 to 3 hours to stop. It'll annoy me enough for me to get up and turn it off. That's a break, right? But then it distracts me. Then I can literally get up and do something. Set your alarm. That's what I used to do to eat, because I really can. I can go through the entire day and not, especially if I'm working, I can go through the entire day and not eat. So I set my alarm to stop me in my tracks, and then I go eat or just take a break. We have a dog now. We walk the dog. Oh my gosh. Jeez. And like I talked about, celebrate for real, because it will really get your happy juices just going. You have your own dance party. For real, you know, because you gotta think, that's the goal you set for yourself. It's not for anybody else to celebrate you. It's for you to say, you know what, I did that. I took 5 minutes and I meditated. I wrote in my journal. I walked. I eat one meal a day, one healthy meal a day. And it's no judgment. That's the thing, you know, we judge ourselves more than other people are judging us, and we project that judgment. So as soon as they're like, oh, is that what you're eating, you're like, what do you mean? They didn't say anything, you know, but we already feel guilty about it because we know what we're supposed to be doing. So you celebrate yourself, you know, and just, if someone's like, oh, what is that you're eating, just tell them what it is and be excited about it. Yes, I am eating this pork chop right now, right? You know, don't, you know, give yourself some grace, because it's a journey. It's little steps, and you're, wherever you are on that journey is wherever you are. You know, it's not for me to tell you, oh, you should be farther along. Oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do, don't do that to yourselves, and you manage that from other people, you know, because it can be hurtful, right? Especially where we are in our journey, or who we are. I'm super sensitive, and I'm not telling y'all no lies. I'm telling you for real. This is how I am, okay? But you just manage all of that, okay? Oh, I have on here, eat one plant-based meal a day. So it's funny. We actually do this without even recognizing it. Sometimes you eat a salad, right? And you won't put anything on there. That's one plant-based meal a day, right? Depending on how you stack it up, though. Because we can stack a salad up, right? But now that you know you can be intentional about it, you know, if you're trying to, and you don't have to adopt that lifestyle if that's not what you want to do. Okay, you know, just one plant-based meal a day, and, you know, start your journey that way. And sleep. This is another thing that we take advantage of. Sleep. Water and sleep. They're very necessary for our body to function effectively. Very necessary, along with other things, but yes. So and move your body, do something that gives you joy, and just have fun. Learn to have fun. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys, and I also gave, like, you guys have the habit starter and the progress tracker. Those are things that you can start using on your journey. My information is on